friends, Bryan and Bryan. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what it is that you do?
All right. Well, my name is Bryan, and Bryan Kenville. I am the lead pastor at Believers Chapel North in Mexico, New York, where we get snow. We are in the snow belt, and my wife and I have been there for 4 years pastoring and loving it, and just seeing God touch a lot of lives.
And I am Bryan Boswell. I am the lead pastor at Cornerstone Church in Clayton, North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh, where we don't get much snow at all. So yeah, we're happy to be here.
That's awesome. Now, I met both of you guys, I think, when you met each other.
Correct.
You guys had both signed up for one of our coaching courses. So would you tell, I actually want to hear from both of you, what brought you to that course? What made you sign up for that?
Yeah, so for me, I had no idea what coaching was. I had this misconception that coaching was like some guy, drawing X's and O's over my life saying, all right,
Sure.
do this, don't do that. You're an idiot. Why'd you do that? That type of thing. And so,
Sounds very encouraging.
yeah. And so I was just curious about coaching. And so I said, you know what? I think the best way to find out about it is sign up for the coaching course. And so that's how I kind of came into it. Was I had no real preconceived ideas of what coaching actually is.
Yeah.
I had all the wrong ideas.
Yeah. Wow.
So-
And you signed up anyway.
And I signed up
You
anyway.
get,
I
like,
wanted
bonus
to try.
points for that. Yeah.
I wanted to try. I wanted to see what happened.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'd had some experience being coached by a coach through Elam Fellowship and taking advantage of that as a credential holder, and that was cool.
Mhm.
And it really was helpful. It unlocked some things in helping me think differently, and I wanted to be able to do that for others, but also wanted to ask more questions and talk less myself.
Yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So you guys have the unique perspective of being the beneficiary of coaching, being coached, but then also as pastors, implementing coaching skills into your leadership. I'm interested in both. Like what have been the benefits and the payouts for you in your ministry?
I think what I've seen is it's become a natural part of my vocabulary to ask questions, to say, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? And asking questions to help people unlock dialogue, not just move toward debate, but really just to facilitate that openness and help people start to unlock things that God has put in them. By the Holy Spirit, there's answers in helping people see that just as a natural part of everyday life. A caveat to that, my wife, Michelle, also went through the class,
Yeah.
and we'll find ourselves coaching each other.
Yeah.
It just becomes, natural in looking at that, to not just give people answers, but to help people walk through the discovery process.
And what would you say that shift, what's the byproduct of that shift in your approach as you look now at the life of your church and your own lives as leaders, and then the lives of the people that you're leading and taking through this different approach? What's sort of the product of that? What's it look like?
I think perhaps some of the aha moments when people start to realize, and you see it on their face, they're like, oh, I never thought of that. But when you're able to capture that yourself,
Yeah.
and realize that, yes, I do have that wisdom, I do have that answer, I do have the ability to do that, and then encouraging people to follow through and act on it also. So unlike mentoring or counseling, where you're giving people input, you're also saying, now how are you going to apply that, and what does that look like, and how can I help you, just by coming alongside to
Yeah.
say, yeah, we're going to take that step and move forward.
Yeah. And do you find that the people react differently when it comes from a coaching conversation versus here's what you need to do conversation?
I think to some degree, yes. I find that in a pastoral mode, there are times that people are looking for shepherding and pastoral input, right? And then there's also times to coach and ask questions. And so it's kind of an organic flow
Yeah.
in and out. And so it's both. I don't take the time to switch the hats.
Yeah. I love that, though. It's not like, because coaching isn't everything. It's, we need shepherding, we need discipling, sometimes we need counseling, but it's another tool. And I hear you say that you've just really woven it into the tapestry, sort of a tool in your tool belt that you pull out as needed. I love that. Other Bryan. Tell us about your experience. You came into this really with, like you said, some misconceptions, expecting someone to pull out a dry erase board or whatever. What has the coaching mindset unlocked for you?
Yeah, when coming into it with that, coaching, I would say to anybody that asks, has changed my life.
Wow.
In two different ways. One is just for me personally, receiving coaching and not knowing what I was getting into, and then just having to walk through that process and someone asking me those questions, the hard questions, sometimes the ones that I had avoided myself. And so having someone ask those questions of me to help me get past those things, overcome those obstacles, that was helpful just for me personally. On a pastoral side, the way it's helped me is that I have learned a new language, is the way I look at it. It's like speaking a totally different language when you start asking questions.
Yeah.
And questions can be incredibly powerful. So when I'm sitting with someone in my church, I'm asking them questions, and it's unlocked inside of me a curiosity. And what it does for them is it helps them feel loved. It helps them feel heard and seen. And so when they receive that from me, that actually ties us together in an even more powerful way than what, just normal pastoral life is.
Yeah, I love that, because if people are feeling loved and seen, to me, that indicates they're probably more apt to be even more vulnerable and open to your leadership. That's amazing. Now, how long were you pastoring before you came to the coaching course?
I think I was pastoring about 4 or 5 years before I came into coaching. And it was through the pandemic. And so everything was all topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
And so when I started coaching, what I found was that people had questions. They had things that they wanted to try and figure out for themselves. And because of coaching, it was helping them actually kind of walk through that season and actually help us as a team, just moving forward as a group. So
I love that. I love that. So if you were able to sort of look at a picture where there's a picture of Bryan pastoring pre-coach training and a picture of Bryan pastoring post-coach training, what would be the differences?
I would say one, confidence.
Wow.
Yeah. When I'm asking the question, and when we're a Holy Spirit driven group around here.
Yeah.
When I'm taking and asking them the question, what I'm saying is, I believe that the Holy Spirit in you has the answers, and He's going to help get you there.
Yeah.
And all I have to do as the coach is just to ask the right questions and listen to that small voice that says, okay, what may be going on here that's underneath the surface, and allowing the Lord to actually ask questions through me to help them get to where they need to be in the Lord, if that makes sense.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Did you have anything to add on that? I wanted to give you the opportunity to sort of reflect what would you see as differences, because I know you're new in this particular role at the church that you're at, and you kind of came to coach training right about the same time as you took the church, didn't you?
Yeah, it was within 6 months of stepping into this new assignment. Not new in pastoring, but new in this role at this church, and only having been a lead pastor for a few years prior. I think it's just kind of hit the ground running with both. But I love what Bryan had to say. Again, just emphasizing the role of listening to the Holy Spirit and helping people unlock that. And we've had a unique experience, and that is that the two of us were in the coaching class together.
Yeah.
And then I just called him up and said, hey, bro, do you want to continue this and sharpen some skills, and let's coach each other? And now we were just saying, it's been 3 years, maybe going on 4, since we started the coaching class, and we continued to coach each other twice a month on the most part since then. And what I can remember is some of the highlights are those moments when he'll ask a question that I would never dare ask myself.
Wow.
and the Holy Spirit goes to something, and he's in loving ways relentless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And vice versa, to be able to say, this is where, this is what I hear you saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
mirroring that back.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you considered this?
Mm.
What about this? And it's unlocked what I love to call the aha moments.
Yeah.
And that is just where, it is really transformed how, I see even problem solving and decision making as a leader, in a whole different light because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some other pastors who've fallen into a similar relationship where we went through the course together and we just kept doing it. And they're expressing it's such a benefit. What would you guys say because we have a lot of credential holders who have never taken advantage of their free coaching sessions that they get. If for whatever reason, maybe, you're busy, you just think, or you maybe have sort of a inner script that's telling you I should be able to figure this out. What would you guys say if you got to sit down with somebody who was resistant, or even maybe not resistant, maybe just putting it off and just, the calendar, whatever, living by the demands of, the urgent. What would you say to a pastor in that position who about taking advantage of coaching?
Oh, it is a challenge, like you said, with busy schedules. And sometimes, we get into life rhythms and routines, and we're used to, being there. And especially as a pastor and a pastor of a smaller church, you're used to doing whatever needs to get done and doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Oftentimes. So I think in that regard, just the idea, if you were to sit down with someone and just say, hey, maybe you're going to see this from just a little different angle, and allowing someone else to see something that you may not have seen. And again, you're inviting Jesus into the room and allowing him to speak into it. And so I just think it adds just such a broader perspective. And I would say it really can unlock things and just get you talking about things that you may not talk to yourself about, but it'll force you to think out loud and walk through scenarios that, oh, I didn't think of that, but it was there all the time and it was in me, and God helped unlock it through coaching.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I would just say try it once. Just try it one time.
Yeah.
If you try anything one time, you never know what might happen.
Yeah.
And you may like it, you may not, and you may say, you know what, this wasn't for me, and move on. But man, what happens if you try something and it changes your life? What an amazing testimony that would be for coaching. And I think for me, I know that I've seen it. I've seen it for myself personally. I would just challenge somebody, just try it once. If you don't like it, get your money's back or whatever.
It's free.
On that free session. Yeah. I love that. Well, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing some of your journey. Thanks for sharing your experiences as pastors, leaders, as coaches and coachees. Man, I just hope that folks hear your heart and hear what a benefit it's been to you, and just are motivated to take advantage of it for themselves. So thanks.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.